Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And today we are talking about Survivor South Africa, episode 3.
Episode 3, yay! But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, please. And also there's Patreon stuff down there. Have fun down there in the description. Links to Chantele, all that good stuff down there.
Thank you.
Guys, this episode 3, I mean, we talked about it last week. We were going to drop our buffs, and boy, did it mix some things up.
I mean, it's really entertaining. I'm very much enjoying this season. I love all the characters. I don't have anybody that I'm super rooting for or super upset. Like I'm enjoying everybody right now. I'm just like, I don't remember who was on the original, what tribe, and I'm just still getting my head around the
oh my gosh. Yes. Like I was trying so hard with my notes of like, okay, this person is here now and used to be there. Like it's too early for me. I can't.
A little bit. I mean, you were saying this last week and I was like, no, it's okay. I think it's because they want people to use the chappies to use the diplomatic immunity.
Right.
And so it gives them a bit more of an opportunity for that to happen.
And maybe.
But like, I don't know who's on what tribe anymore. And like, I can't wrap my head around the strategy because I'm like, I don't remember who is where.
Right. Exactly. So let's go through it and we'll do our best and there'll probably be some confusion and together we'll figure it out. Right.
I think what I've written down makes sense, but it hasn't necessarily computed in my brain yet. But yeah, after this, I think that we'll have it on lockdown.
Seriously, why are the blondes so hard this season?
Don't even get me started. I'm sorry. Like, I know they're different people, different personalities. And when I see them separately, I know who's whom. But like, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with those blondes for sure. Okay, well, so at the top of this episode 3, we're, following up after Tribal with Vuna. And at first, I hear Carla being all like, orchestrated a blindside. Hey. And I was like, oh, we're just taking credit. Okay, we're doing that. But then when we see the group, Paul's like, hey, guys, who did that? What's that about? And then we don't really hear anybody claim it.
Nobody really claimed it. It seems that they're giving the credit to Mike for it, and Carla was not having any of it. Now, I get it. Like, you want your moves to be known, and everybody's like, yeah, she did that move. I get it. You want to build that resume. But you want that resume like 10 tribals from now. That's when you can pull up these things, because right now it just makes you a target. So the fact that she wants all these like accolades of like this blind sign, she wants to take credit. I'm like, this would tell me that you won't win this game, because if you want to be, acclaimed right now, that means you're going to be claimed from the game quickly.
Yeah, another clue that I don't think you're winning this game, Carla, is that you're sitting there with Mike and you're feeling really good about yourselves. Like they're talking about being the powerful ones and that they're kind of running things. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's very entertaining to watch, and just like seeing people that I'm like, really? Okay, like you did orchestrate this, but I don't think that you realize that it's because other people decided that that was the best move for their game. It wasn't really because you switched things around and made something very challenging happen. So
not really.
No.
And then we get the moment that was in the preview. Santony, she's like, hey, chappies. Got a clue to an idol. Now, she also adds in, and Chantele, help me out here. She says there's a clue for an idol at the other camp. Now, that is not true information.
Is she assuming that there's one in the same spot at both camps?
That is a good theory. It sounded to me like she was talking about the one that's at Tribal, that there's a second one, but she didn't want to give specifics on that one. And so she sort of made it up because it kind of sounded like it was an afterthought or like a throwaway of like, yeah, I got a clue for another one, but there's one here. But I just wasn't, but she said other camp, and that's where I got confused.
I mean, I'm confused now too. I would think, okay, if she's saying that, I think that that makes sense. Oh,
Sean's here giving us inside info.
Sean, our hero, thank you for helping us navigate through this episode. This will be very
I just feel
helpful.
like she didn't need to say anything.
She should have kept that part quiet.
Yeah, just say, I got a clue for one here. Let's look for it. That's all you need to say, Anthony. That's all.
Well, especially since she's giving out such big information here. Like, this is huge. I personally think, especially with how things go with the rest of this episode, that it was smart of her to maybe share this information, just because I think that it's good for her to build some trust with Chappies. But the lie part about it, she might get caught in the lie, and that might be detrimental eventually.
Well, it all goes a very interesting way, which we'll talk about because there's a second layer to this. So she's telling Chappies in this moment, and she, what we see is that she looks for a smidge, but is not able to find the idol in that moment. And then, of course, later, she's going to get moved to another camp, and it's going to get complicated, and there's layers. But hold on for that, because we're going to jump over to Zamba right now. And this is an interesting conversation.
I know the conversation.
And I've been corrected that both me and Nico are pronouncing this incorrectly. It's Toriso with a hard T. Mm-hmm. I was following Nico's lead. My bad. I'm so sorry. But Toriso is being courted by this trio of ladies.
Courted? Is that what how you describe this?
That is how I described it. How would you describe it?
I kind of felt it was a little bit like I'm in a power position, grovel. I don't know what word that would be, but it was
from the trio.
From the trio,
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like Toriso really did the best job with maybe appealing to the trio. So I don't know if she played her role the best to get the best results. They both kind of were like, at it like this and not really appealing to one another. But the trio, there's three of them. And so I felt that they were in a powerful position. And so I felt that they could have just taken it down a little bit and kind of met Toriso where she was at, instead of it seeming like, hey, like, we don't need you, you need us. And it was like that on
both sides, and maybe courting. Like, I thought their intention was courting, but we didn't see the beginning of it. We see her sort of saying, well, I need trust from you guys. And then they're like, you need trust from us, we need trust from you. And then it's like, oh boy, what happened here? They're like, we could work together, but I don't know.
I mean, to me, after this conversation, I would be thinking, like, on either side, being like, yeah, okay, nope, that's a no. Like, that's not going to be happening. We're not going to be working together. It didn't, in my opinion, seem like it was effective.
But don't you want to, like, pretend to be in with a powerful trio at least?
Of course. I totally thought that, it would be great for her to be like, hey, like, let's keep these strong women together.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, like, I've been on the outs right now, but, like, I think that we're powerful in numbers. We're powerful together. So before the men turn on us and try to pick us off one at a time because we're perceived as weak, let's band forces and join them and come together. That's what I was hoping for. And then this conversation happened. I was like, oh, okay, we have a different idea of how to go about this.
Those are some great keywords. Those are the things you say, whether you mean them or not. If they are a powerful trio, these are the things you say, instead of like, y'all are a trio, and then they're like, are we
a girl band or a girl group? I mean, I also, though, too, I felt as though Nicole was a bit of the ringleader here, and it didn't seem as though Marisha and Amy were really that, like, kind of on the same bandwagon as Nicole was. Like, they didn't really pipe in that much. It seemed like Nicole was doing all the talking. So I'm wondering if they agree with her or if they're just like not just keeping their mouth shut and letting Nicole do the talking. I wasn't sure how that was going about.
Agreed, because when they did chime in, it was much softer. It was much more like, but we could work together. We could be so good together. Like, they were giving that vibe, whereas Nicole was like, but prove yourself to me. And it was like, yeah.
I want them to work together, though. Come on, guys. Like, why not?
Yeah. Okay, let's head to reward. But before we get to reward, drop your buffs. The terrified looks on their faces. They like,
we're not expecting it.
No, that's true. They got blindsided. They did not expect that. Did not see that coming. And I was really, I pay really close attention to this stuff because this is where I get, I question if anything's rigged. How much of a hand does production have in this? So I was really paying attention to the two, like obviously there's two tribes. We have two urns. And the left urn went to all the men and the right urn went to all the women. So it seems like they were just trying to make it somewhat even on the men and women part. But we ended up getting
very lopsided.
Oh my gosh, 6-3.
Exactly. And only and the people that were in the minority were going back to their tribe. So it's like both of the tribes have been infiltrated by the other tribe.
Right. Yeah. How odd is that? So weird. So correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I watched it twice. Really tried to.
Okay. I got my book. I got the book.
For new Vuna, the three old Vuna are Tyson, Kieran, and Anesu. That's our minority.
Perfect.
Then for new Zamba, our three minority old Zamba are Sean, Anella, and Amy.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's all I have for that. Okay.
I can fill in the pieces, I believe, as well.
Yes. So this is an interesting reward challenge. We've got a sand pit duel. And I'm always fascinated when we do like a one-on-one sort of physical challenge.
They always scare me. They do this a lot on The Challenge as well. It's another show that I watch regularly. And like, yes, it's very intense because especially if it's an even matchup, like weight size and stuff like that. And like if they're enemies or whatever, like, yes, it's good. But like it makes me on the edge of my seat because I'm scared someone's going to get hurt. Like I really don't want someone to break a bone or like it looks so painful that I don't know if it's worth it to watch because I don't want anybody to get hurt. It's
same, and we've seen people get hurt. We've seen shoulders pop out, and it's rough to watch someone like go so hard against one person and be injured. And so I was grateful there were no real injuries here. It seemed fairly tame, just sort of pushing and dragging people. But yeah, I'm always a little on the edge of my seat with these.
It's also probably because I've never really been in any sort of fight. I once took, it was like a 3-month boxing class. And like, eventually we had to we were sparring with people that were like training to do an actual match. And like, I remember getting hit once and like, I saw red and I went back and I hit back, whatever. But like, I didn't like hitting somebody with that rage. You know what I mean?
Oh, so yes. No, I don't want to hit
also why I don't like watching, because I know that rage is there and like it's intense.
Yeah. Well, okay. Round 1, Nico's going to tell us, what the reward is for each round, and then they're going to pair up people, as best they can. And I thought these pairings were fairly decent, I thought. So round 1 for a hammock, they present Nicole, so then they put Carla up for that. And Nicole ends up winning, and she is for Vuna. I had to keep track of what tribe was actually winning reward because I couldn't tell anymore. But what's really interesting about round 1 here is there's a conversation going on. I'm not even watching this one because there's a conversation happening behind them. And the shot for this was great.
Well, how did Warda not hear what was going on? Right? Because she was sitting next to Paul, I believe, right?
A little bit of
I think
that.
so.
Just need to listen up just a little bit like that. Okay, so here is my question. Why? That's just my question. Why? Santony is now telling Paul about the idol at their beach, their camp, which is now their previous camp. And Paul's like, oh crap, well, let's give this information to, our old group over there. So he ends up later getting paired up with Tyson, and they're like, perfect. And then we get an obvious conversation between Paul and Tyson. And he's like, 3 paces over, get yourself an idol. And I was like, oh, why? Good for Tyson, but like, why is this now Tyson's idol?
Well, okay, I'm assuming it's because they don't know if they're ever going to go back to that camp, right? And so it seemingly this is an opportunity for you to be able to relay some information in an less obvious way. Like we saw Dino at that other challenge talking to Paul once, and it was quite obvious to many people. And so Santoni was probably thinking like, hey, let's try to save our people over there because they're in the minority and we want them to not get picked off. And so giving them a chance so that when we get to the merge, we'll have an even better chance of having us all intact. So I'm feeling as though, because Santoni has been saying that she's been wanting to play the game and that she really wants to get in there. I think that she was just thinking a lot about that idol, and she needs to get it to them so she can have a better chance later on in the game.
Well, that is very nice of her, I think. I think that, maybe she really thought she was never going to get back to that camp. I kind of feel like I might have risked it. It's very nice to give that to other people on your tribe. I understand the tribe strong mentality in these moments. And so if you think, well, at least we want someone from our former tribe to find it and try to save themselves so that we still have some sort of numbers down the road, I can get that. But
she also is probably thinking like, hey, I have an idol still, so let's use this other idol that I might never get my hands on, or somebody might just, scurry around and find it, and we won't know whose hands it is in. So it could also be to know where that idol is, because you always want to know that information too.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like we saw a lot of loose lips too. I just feel like everyone just found out about this idol, and that just is weird to me.
What I thought was hilarious though was how Paul was so angry at her for like not telling him in advance. It's like, of course she's not going to tell you.
Last week we were like, what's Paul up to? What's really going on in his head? And then this week we're like, oh, well, he's mad about idol. Like he wanted to know where that idol was ahead of time. But he did the job. He did what he was supposed to do. He tells Tyson. It's clear to everyone that they're talking, but
Dino's calling it out. Like, are they having a conversation? I think even Rhaenyra had seen it as well. And so it was quite subtle. Now, okay, what do you think of the thought of it being kind of obvious so that maybe it would deflect who they were going to be voting out, or make it more obvious, like maybe make it clear, like, hey, we can't vote out Tyson now, so we have to go after Anesu or whatever. Like they can maybe play the idol better now that they know that they have it. Do you think that's why maybe they're so obvious about it? Because like,
well,
why?
Yeah, I don't think that they put that much thought into it, honestly. But I think that is an upside, is that people were like, oh, the downside is they think Tyson has something. They don't trust him. The upside is, well, let's probably not target Tyson because I think he has something. So, yeah. Tyson's attitude back at camp was kind of good of like, he was like, yeah, I don't want to make it obvious, but they know I got something. So.
Well, didn't he leave camp and to go find it and like was not subtle?
Well, why not? You got caught talking. Don't be subtle. Go get it. Go get it. No one walked up on him. So, hey. But let's get there in a second because let's finish this reward. That was Paul and Tyson. Paul wins it. They got some chairs. Mm-hmm. Then round 3, Chappies beats Renier and he gets blankets and cushions. And then Warda and Marisha beats or wins that one for a tarp. And it's fairly even here. We got 2 for Vuna, 2 for Zamba. And then the last one, little commercial, little ad, hashtag ad for Future Life sponsor. But hey, it's food. So I'm not going to hate on this ad, this sponsorship, because they do need protein. Great idea.
It did, to me, though, seem a little bit out of place. Like, it just didn't seem like, yes, they need some sustenance, nutrients, like get these bars, like, you know, they're going to help rejuvenate their bodies, whatever. I get it. They're on Survivor. They don't eat much. But it just seems too glossy and too, like, I don't know, just having them have like the power bars like back at camp. It just seemed out of place to me. I obviously get the purpose of it, but it wasn't Survivor-y enough. Like maybe if they had it be like Survivor Edition or something, but like it was just too shiny.
It's too, I mean, it's so out of place when you have any sort of shiny moment on a deserted island area, you know, like they're starving and then they're like, protein shake, you know.
I don't want to see the pizza with like, you know, flies swarming around it like it usually is, you know, like just a spread that they put out of like food that's been sitting there all day and it doesn't look appetizing. Like that's kind of where I want to go here.
But look, Mama got to get paid, all right? So
I get it. I'm from Canada. I get it.
The money. And they also, with this sponsorship, they get a tribe advantage. And Anela does win this one. And so Zamba is going to end up with this tribe advantage come immunity challenge time.
Did they ever let us know why they call Anela Smash?
No.
Is that was something from before? Like, is that a nickname from outside of the game, or is it something that came? Yeah, okay.
I think so, because when they first brought it up, they were like, whose nickname is Smash, which sounded like he came in with it. They certainly didn't show us him smashing into something. That would have been fun.
Well, maybe Dino at that last one, because like it didn't look very difficult for him to win there. Also,
Future Life is very big. All right.
Okay, I never had it before. Is it good? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Is it? Hopefully
it's his nickname. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to get to our new camps. Zamba's the suburbs of Survivor. Loved that. We see Anela. This is, anytime you steal food, so risky. He is going through Future Life and looking for another reward. Great. Love it. And then he steals a protein bar.
I think 2. I think he took 2 protein bars.
He must have.
Because, like,
he went from 9 to 7.
I feel like he's very smart. I think that he's definitely in a very good position in the game. I would, if I'm rummaging through to find maybe a clue or something, I would definitely have counted out how many bars there were and saw, like, to see whether or not it would look suspicious. I guess that's why he ate 2, because 1 would look really suspicious, but 2, I guess, is like, oh, maybe they gave us less.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when you're just like rummaging, you got to go fast. You're probably not thinking, oh, I got to count these. Like, he did not, but it didn't seem like it backfired, at least not yet.
But his face, though, he's just like the cat. What is it? The cat with a canary in his mouth? Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, there's 7. Ooh. Hiding in the bushes. Then over on Vuna, Tyson gets right to it. Like we already alluded to, he's like, cool, we're here. Let's go. I got to go 3 paces over here. And then he finds it.
Seemingly easy. Yeah.
Yep.
Renier obviously notices him running off because he's like, on top of these things.
Mm-hmm. Where's Tyson? But Tyson, I guess this really is a tribe idol. Tyson tells Anesu. And he also tells Kieran. And so it sounds like hey, we have this for us, which is the way that this should be used, I guess. Absolutely.
And like, I do feel as though Anesu is strategically the best in this, out of that trio. And so I think that she would probably allow them to use it in the best way possible. So I'm not sure how to yet, because like they have enough numbers that if they split the vote, one of them would still go out. So
Right.
they still need to get them to crack and turn on themselves, but it gives them a shot. So
Right. It definitely helps. And it's not going to be necessary quite yet. So they're okay. What we do see back at Zamba is that Carla, she doesn't like Chappies and Paul. She's already made that clear. She doesn't like them. And now that they're mixed up, she's got no need for them. She wants to move on to new people. And no, thank you. And so Mike's like, hold up. Oh, dear. Not a good plan. I'm in danger. We got to stay tribe strong. Old tribe strong.
100%. And this is definitely where I was like, okay, Carla is not going to win this game, I don't think, because she's just thinking so emotionally right now, not game savvy, like the person that wants to get the credit for that blind side in the beginning. Like, I want to see that energy coming in being like, hey, I don't even like Paul and I don't even like Chappies, but I am going to use them to my advantage and then take them out when when I'm in a better position. Like, the fact that she was just so ready to get rid of them. I don't trust them. I'm like, why don't you trust them? Like, you turned on them. Like they should not be trusting you. And that could be why, I guess, now that like they kind of blindsided them with the Piney vote. But and that they might not be able to gain that trust back. So maybe that's why she's saying like, no, we can't trust them. But try.
Well, I mean, the upside to this is like, I really don't like when we've dropped our buffs and we've mixed it up. I don't like tribe strong. I don't like just sticking with the numbers. I want to see side conversations. I want to see other people work in different angles. So I enjoy that she's doing this. But yeah, I mean, to your point, this is like game killer for Mike, and he sees it and he knows it. And he's like, girl, you're supposed to be my number one. We can't do this. But she's emotional. She's hyped up and she's like, let me tell you why we should. Yeah.
But she wasn't even listening. She wasn't even hearing his rationale, nothing was penetrating her changing her mind there. And so, I mean, I totally agree with you. Obviously, we don't want to see just like the power of numbers. And that's the one thing that I usually bothers me the most about Survivor, that it's so easy for it to happen that it just becomes a numbers game and who has the idol. And that's not that interesting to me. And so, I'm happy when it's closer down the middle, when it's like 4 and 4, and like they should just make it 4 and 4, because nobody really cares for it to be 6-3 on both sides. Like, chances are the minority is going to go out. Like, it's just, chances are. So I definitely agree with you that it's more interesting that she doesn't want to be tribe strong, but like game wise, think about your game here. Like, it's better for your game.
Yeah. Well, whose game I really like is Amy's. Like, we already knew she was pretty smart, but the way that she sort of connects with Chappies first, and was like, hey, I want to work with you. I like you. You know what? I don't like Mike. Could we work together to get Mike out? Like, I think she said the like magic words, and Chappies was like, you know what? I like how you're talking, and then she kind of like moves from there. And then she like eventually is talking to Santini, and she's like, yeah. And Santini's like, music to my ears. Love what you're saying. I want to work with Chappies. Don't care about Mike. Like, yeah. So I really like how she sort of infiltrated. And
how did you think she found out though that it was like, is it because Mike was been given the credit for that vote on Piney? Like, how did she know? Because I thought that it was really good spidey senses there to know the right person to target. I think him or Carla would have been decent to say, but Mike is definitely the better pick. He's definitely the better player. So I wonder how she got tipped off there.
Well, she did mention that she was saying, Mike was saying la 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 la. So I think Mike revealed some information, and then she knew the way he's talking. She kind of alluded to like, I didn't like the way he was talking. So he must have been very presenting on like, we didn't get along with Chappies, and like, you know, we had the last vote, they were left out. Like he probably was revealing that kind of information, and information is power in these games, and I feel like she really took advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely a great job of just like gathering information and figuring out how to use it to benefit her and her trio.
Yeah. So let's go to an immunity challenge. Love a water challenge. Out in the water, they've got to swim out. They've got to like climb up a ramp, jump back in, swim over to a ring, untie the knot, take the rings back. Then second phase, ring toss. Zamba's advantage. I thought this was a pretty good advantage.
Absolutely. Get to have one less ring to get on the post. And that's huge. Usually, you know, either it's the puzzle or it's the ring toss or it's throwing the ball in the basket. That's the equalizer in the end of these challenges. And so a ring toss, like, you have to go back and fetch an extra ring. Like, that's great. Great advantage.
Absolutely. And then watching Carla struggle to get up that ramp, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh. He was like, it's harder when it's wet. I was like, it just looks hard to me. Like, I'd be
really
like,
hard.
I can't get up.
I'm always like, I should just try Survivor because, like, you know, I want to challenge myself and I want to do the, you know, I think it would be hard, but like, I just want to give it a try. And then I see challenges like this. I'm like, I would hate this so much. I would not want to be here. They'd be so mad at me. And then they'd be sending me to Immunity Island. And I was like, I don't know. I think I'd have a miserable experience if I played Survivor.
Girl, if you could do it, I would be so impressed. I can't do any of this, much less sleep outside and not have food. Like, just
that
alone.
I can do.
Oh, I'd be so cranky. Oh, I'd be such a mess. I'd be voted out just for my attitude.
No, you'd probably be funny and people would keep you in.
Ooh, people who play Survivor. Oh, they're amazing. Okay, so Zamba does have a bit of a lead here. That advantage does help them out. But Anesu, holy moly, beast moded. She's the last one, and she just like soared over that ramp, got that ring, and so their lead gets cut like pretty quickly.
And I love that, especially because like she's kind of on the chopping block. You know, her, Tyson, and Kieran, they would potentially, it'd be easy for them to be one of the next people voted out. And so the fact that she's tiny and she was able to hustle and like
strong.
She's definitely super strong. Like, I love the fact that she wasn't going to allow her tribe to lose here because she was going to put in 150% effort and really help them get the lead here.
And this ring toss was so exciting. It really, like, they caught up quickly and were tied up, and then the next ties up it again, and then again, and then it ties up again. And we are down to just one last toss. Who's going to get it? And it was Kieran. Kieran gets that last winning toss for Vuna.
See, I just got goosebumps because it's like, I think that they wanted it more. I mean, I feel like Kieran, we haven't seen that much about him, but him and Anesu seem to really want to do well in the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that they're just like, I'm not going to let this happen. And so they both beast moded it. It's great.
Yeah. Loved it.
Well, it wasn't really that close, Shafika, because they had the advantage that wasn't even, didn't even come into play. Like, Vuna didn't have the advantage. It was Zamba, and they still lost. So I would say that Vuna actually beat them quite fair and square.
Oh, I think that's it. Oh, yeah, because it looked close, but that's not taking into account an advantage. So if you didn't have an advantage, yeah, you're right. It wouldn't have been close. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Nico does a lot. We watched the episodes together on Twitch, and some people in chat were saying, like, does Nico comment more, or are we just used to Prope's voice? Like, but I think he does comment a lot and makes it exciting. I don't know. I like Nico.
I like Nico as well. Nothing has stood out to me as like saying too many things in the challenge. It seems pretty similar. Like, we hear Jeff Probst chirping all the time. That's his favorite thing to do is be like, deep, like, come on, like, let's go. Like,
to the point that contestants are like, okay, we heard you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the same. I think just like maybe, we're not used to the accent. And so.
Yeah. We're hearing it as opposed to like, Probst is in the background. Sorry, Sean.
They did. They owned you just a little bit. Yep. But it's tough. Oh, those water challenges are so tough. Now, this choice for Immunity Island, I loved. And we talked last week about how they're going to have to mix up their strategy here. We've seen the same strategy 2 weeks in a row, and I think they're going to catch on. And now they're also mixed up. And so we hear Rainier very vocal, but basically lying. And he's saying, he's like, let's weaken them by sending Amy. And you're like, that's not weakening them. And then you're like, oh yeah, Rainier and Amy have a secret alliance.
Yes, the undercover mafia. But I think though, if we're just going to look at what Rainier was saying, like that they would be forced to maybe vote out some, like she's not weak, but they're still going to be forced to vote out somebody quite strong. So because if they're going to save Amy, they'd have to go between, who would have been Carla and Anella? No, just kidding. Sean and Anella would be the other two. Is that correct?
Right. If they were going to pick from that group, the minority.
If they saved Amy, they would have to take out Anella or Sean. Right. And that would be, I mean, if they decided to, with the numbers, right?
It's just dangerous to take out, if you've got 3 on a minority, it's dangerous to take any one of those 3 out and give them less numbers at the tribal.
Right.
I guess not everybody knows that she loses a vote, but I think enough people know now, right?
They're probably going to assume that that's the thing. But I think that that's the rationale that Rainier was having, was that they would have to then choose between Anella and Sean, which would be weakening their new Zomba tribe on a whole, not taking into account their previous tribe.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. Is his rationale. I don't think he wants any of the 3 of them to go, obviously.
Right.
But
so why not pick someone from the majority? Because they're the majority, right? The people making this decision are the majority of this minority over here. So they could have the numbers to pick someone from the majority over here and even it out a little bit.
But then if they go to tribal, they'll vote out their weakest person potentially from the trio, and it would most likely be Amy. So that's what I think you're just trying to save Amy for the most part, because if Amy was available, it's just a very easy vote. She's in the minority. She could be considered the weakest out of the 3 people on the minority and maybe most likely to go. So I think that's why he kept her.
Okay. Well, he's definitely working with her. So at least that made sense that, he wanted to try to give her an advantage, try to keep her safe. That makes sense to me. So Amy's like, happy to go off to Immunity Island. Sure. Love it. Let me go. She does get there and she's reading through what we've, learned is that you will eventually go to tribal tomorrow night. Safe, but you'll lose your vote. And she actually, her vote could be important.
Yes.
Being in the minority, this was the first time I felt like considering not playing was legit.
So how do you feel about them not knowing what they would win before they make the decision to play? Because after what I heard, I was like, damn, like you're on the fence about this one? That sucks. I wouldn't bother playing. I would be like, hey, let me go and try to maybe maneuver, use the idol, give it to somebody, have my vote. Like there was more things that she could do if she kind of didn't play.
Oh yeah. No, and I mean, from a production as a whole, you can't give that information. You have to say you can play or not, and then reveal the game. Like, I think that that's just the exciting way to do it. But yeah, of course, like if she had been giving the information of like, here's the game you're going to play, here's what you could win or lose. Do you want to play or go? I would have been like, yes, go. Do not play this. Not worth it for this. And also go get your vote and give somebody that immunity necklace as an idol. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying as well with production, like wanting to withhold that information. But I'm just like, man, like she wasn't able to make an educated decision here. And
but I think, isn't it always like that?
That's true. It is kind of.
You know, like Rob and Sandra, whichever one season that was, they were like, so, you know, do you want to do it or not? And then they find out what the heck they're doing, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was exactly what was going on in my head as well when I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, like that island of the idols too. Like that one, they never really relayed what was really going to happen there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't usually do it. But I was like, poor Amy, like, and especially because what she could potentially win is raiding the other camp, which she didn't want to do because like they're basically all of her people and they just helped her keep her in the game. And then she doesn't obviously want it the other way either, to lose and get her camp raided. And it's her fault because she decided to be greedy and go for this advantage. So she's kind of in a lose-lose situation, not playing.
Yeah.
And then she didn't even win.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Warren, you did hear that correct. Yeah. Once she says, yeah, I'm going to stay and play. And then she's like, oh, are you kidding me? I don't want to win this, but I also don't want to lose it. Then she tries to do the puzzle. She can't do the puzzle. She says it's harder than it looks. And whoops, all of a sudden, the other tribe is going to come in and raid it and take 3 items. Oh, gosh. Oh dear.
Terrible. I mean, I guess they're going to take the 3 items that they won at that last challenge. Like, what will they get? A hammock? No, I can't remember who had what right now.
But they basically were even, you know, one tribe won 2 things, one tribe won 3 things. Like, oh, well, like, who cares? Who cares if you go get a chair or a tarp? I don't know. But so, yeah, she loses and she's like, I don't even know how to handle this going back to camp. I don't know what to do. Like, ugh. She's in a tough spot at this point.
I mean, it's just a lot of work okay, how am I going to position myself? Because no matter what, they're going to be thinking that I'm lying. So do I lie and lean into the lie but then maybe get caught and then look like a liar? Or do I go with the truth that they also still might think that I'm lying? Like, it's just, she's in a bad position. They're going to get raided. And one thing that I did like, though, is that she felt confident about Anela at being able to handle himself and be able to, she had faith that he would be able to have the boats be going in the right direction to save him. And so I really liked that she has that much confidence in him. And that was one of the reasons why she decided to play. So that made me feel good, at least.
Yeah. Now, I would like to say that I think, in my opinion, that whenever you're sent off to one of these islands or whatever, and you know there's a possible advantage, coming back, you want to be as believable as possible that you got no advantage, right? Isn't that the biggest thing? You don't want people thinking that you have a secret advantage. So I feel like in this moment, it's so easy to just go back to camp and be like, you guys, I had to play a game, and if I had won, we could have raided their camp, but I lost. So please expect the other tribe to come in here and raid at some point. I'm so sorry. Cry. I'm so sorry. This is horrible. I can't believe I lost. And then you're going to get raided, and it's proven, and now everyone knows you don't have an advantage.
Exactly. Unless you got an advantage, and the repercussions were that you're going to get raided, and so that's like you took that gamble and be like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, people are going to be overthinking everything.
Sure.
So the truth sometimes isn't looking as real or viable in a game of Survivor. Right. So That's probably why she's in a little bit of a conundrum there.
Yeah, no, she's
I'm not
definitely in a conundrum. I just think that don't look shady. Whatever you do, just don't look shady. And it's really, really tough when you're sent off to an island. So, but it looks like we're going to see that next week. So we'll see how that goes. So over at Zamba, they got to make a decision. And Mike knows he could be in a lot of trouble unless they stay old Vuna strong. So he is on the warpath. And honestly, he is pulling out all his little lawyer skills and he is doing such a good job.
It's such a good job. But when I was watching it, I was like, oh, he's doing too good of a job here. We've been hearing from the very first episode that Nesu was like, oh, like he's good at this game. He's so good. He's so good. And I feel like that's probably what everybody feels about him. And then he's getting credit for this big blind side. And so him being so confident in those confessionals, I was like, there is no way that they would be allowing him to be this confident in confessionals unless he's getting the egg in his face. Like it has to be.
Yeah, there was so much focus on him and they didn't really give us any focus on the alternative.
I didn't even really know who it was actually going to be.
Yeah, it was like, I guess if it's between Shauna or Nesu, like, Anella. Okay, Anella. Like, it was like that. And I was like, that's all we're getting? Okay, I know what we're getting.
Exactly. I was like, I definitely kudos for him for trying. Like, and I loved hearing him being like, we're salespeople always closing. Like, I liked hearing these sound bites and like, it was definitely, I would love if it came true for him. But when I was seeing it, I was like, oh, poor guy. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt.
Poor guy. When he was like, yeah, always be close and make them shake hands with you so they won't go against it. And I was like, but if you're the one they're voting out, you could shake hands with them all day long because you're about to be out of the game. If it's about someone else and you still have to work with this person, yeah, maybe a handshake means something. But when it's you,
it's like, see you later.
No, it means nothing. I do like in this, all these conversations, I really liked where Santini is positioned. People are involving her in conversation. She's sharing information. Like, it kind of felt like she was in a nice little middle spot.
A lot of people have been comparing her. Even somebody in this chat in the chat, they didn't say this particular thing, but comparing her to Sandra Diaz-Twine with the anybody but me strategy. Yes. And so I'm wondering, could she be our winner? You know what I mean? Like,
she's getting some edit time. She sure is.
Right? Like, making these moves, like, she's just such in the focus of things, but not being looked at from what I can see as a target at all. She's just looked like she's like really pampering her spot. Like, if they get back together with, I don't remember which tribe is which, with their old tribe.
The old one.
And, to be like, hey, I was the one, I found that, I sent it over to you. Like, they're just going to get a lot of, thank you so much, and like potentially build some bonds there. So I really am like, anybody but me strategy works. When you get to the merge, it really works when you're not a threat necessarily to win all these individual immunities. So she just has to make it through like 6-9 more days and she might be at merge and things could be kind of good for her.
I agree that she's in a really good spot and she got that chance by being rescued by Immunity Island to like move from the outside to the inside a little bit. Really worked on Chappies. And so she's in the loop. She's in a good spot, but she has to learn that loose lips sinks ships. Like, if she keeps this up where she reveals information, I don't see her winning.
Well, what other information does she have now other than the tribal immunity idol? I don't think that she's going to bother going for that until she needs it or feels that she needs it. And if she feels like she needs it, she's just gonna be like, got this, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
use somebody else. And so I don't know. I don't think that unless she tells somebody about that and then they go and take it from her at tribal or something.
Oh my gosh, she does that, I'm going to be so mad. No. Yeah, no, I just want her to keep a few things close to her chest. But yeah, she's in a really, really great spot. And you bring up an interesting point. She's definitely in the edit. That's for sure. So we're keeping our eye on her.
Now, who's not in the edit? Sorry, Sean, you were not in this episode very much
really
at all.
I'm so sorry.
And Kian was not, like, I don't think at all, actually. I didn't remember that she was still in this game.
Oh, no. Yeah. I saw her at one moment and I was like, oh, yeah, she didn't get voted out. That's right. And then never saw her again. Yeah. Sean got that big first episode. And now he's laying low, but he's going to come back. I just feel it. I feel it in my bones. Yes. We saw you. We did see you. We did see you. All right. Let's go to tribal. Like you already alluded to, Santini did not grab, and I'm watching her so closely. She didn't even do her big head turns this time. She was like, I'm focused. I'm at a tribal. I walk in. I don't grab anything. Amy comes in. She returns. We get some conversation about do we mend something with someone who's kind of burned us before, or do we trust new people? Typical conversation here.
Yeah. I mean, I like these conversations because it's always after the fact. I'm always like, ooh, what a good liar. They really played it up. I actually didn't really know what was going on completely. And so I definitely thought that they handled these questions quite well, especially with the outcome.
Yeah, and interestingly, Chappie's goes all in. He's like, yeah, Mike. When Mike was talking about, the vote and whatever, he's like, then let's do it. Let's stick with the deal that we made. Absolutely. Tribe strong. Let's go. And I was like, whoa, that's bold when you're just yelling it out. And Paul was a little more yeah, vote. We'll do it. We'll keep this tribe. Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay. Because I'm pretty sure at this point, Mike is going. So if you're yelling that out at tribal, that is very interesting. And also we get to see some votes this time.
Right. I didn't write them down. So did you?
Yes. We get to see Anella's vote for Mike, and we see Mike's vote for Anella. So this also confirms to me Mike is going. And then we get votes red, Mike, Anella, Mike, Anella, Mike, Anella, Mike. One more vote to go. And I was like, wait, I don't know how they handle a tie in South Africa. But we don't need that yet because Mike is the last vote and he is gone.
Man, yeah, he got played. He got outplayed for sure.
But he knew it. He's smart enough and he is pretty good at this game. He knew what was going on and he pushed hard, and I appreciate anyone who's willing to play, even if it doesn't work out,
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to see him play, right? I wanted to see what he could do, especially since everybody was been like, oh, he's such a good gamer. And we got to get him out quickly because he's such a good strategist. I wish I could see him do the strategy thing, because how did he get in such a bad position in the beginning? Why was he even a thought on their first tribal council? I just don't understand how he got himself in such a bad place. And because if he was a better player, no offense, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm just saying, is that he wouldn't have been in that position so quickly, and he would have been able to recover better. And I think that he thought he recovered better than he actually did, but he didn't really put in the work that he needed in the beginning or after he blindsided people.
Yeah, because seemingly from the edit, he was a target from the get-go, from the beginning. And, unfortunately, we don't know what he did to get that target on his back. So, yeah, what was it? And you're right. So it seems like he was really good at the game, but, what did he do wrong?
Mm-hmm. I would like to hear, hopefully he has an exit interview somewhere that I can be we can hear why he was kind of the outcast from the beginning.
I did not think Carla flipped. Carla's hardcore. can't imagine she would flip. Did you?
I didn't look at they didn't show the vote. There's a separate file somewhere. I know that they have like the votes. I didn't watch that.
So the votes for Anella were Warda and Carla and obviously Mike.
Okay, so there's only 3.
So no, Carla's hardcore. I would have been shocked. I thought she was emotional because she knew Mike was probably going. I think that's why she was emotional. That was my interpretation at that point. Yeah, I was like, wait, who are the 3? I assumed Carla and Mike, but then it was interesting to me that Warda is obviously so tight into that group that they did not loop her into this vote.
Well, but it's very clear. So, like with Chappies and Paul being left out of that vote, and then Chappies being like, I want to bring in Santoni because she's going to have the information. And so then they end up being a voting block of 3 right there that was able to take some control of, like, Mike is going to turn on them eventually. Carla's going to turn on them eventually. They'll be easy to be like, yeah, we'll vote them out. Like, we don't care. And so they did it first. And I thought that it was a good move on Chappies and the 3 of them to do this flip right now.
Yes, I love it. They broke up that tribe. They made the numbers a little closer. The old tribe. I mean, that's exactly what I want to see. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So the previews for next week, they really sort of focus on the tribe raid. So we are going to see the raid, and the other tribe has the information, which I thought was fascinating, that they read the card that says, the person who went to Immunity Island lost, and now you get to raid the camp. I mean, that's a lot of information because they obviously know who went to Immunity Island.
Because she could always be like, I did it for you guys.
I did it on purpose.
Yes, I lost it. And I would play that up.
Exactly. Oh, no, I lost.
Exactly.
That would be awesome if she can play that off. We do see her say to her tribe, though, like, I saw something and it was like the other camp can rate. Like, it was kind of wishy-washy, and I was like, oh dear. Uh-oh.
Okay, well, if that's that could be her live for her new tribe, and then when it gets back to the old tribe, she could be all like high fives and be like, I did that for you guys, So hopefully she'll come back out on top, because I'm rooting for her.
I'm rooting for her as well. I don't want her to get herself in a hole here. That's why I kind of want her just to be honest with her new tribe, and then play it off with the old tribe when they like get to merge or whatever is next, and be like, absolutely. I had to tell them something, whatever.
Exactly.
But that will be interesting.
Can't wait.
Wonder what they take. Oh, and another question that came up when we were watching it was, do you think that they could hide anything? Like, if Amy does give her tribe this little heads up, could they be like, okay, well, let's dig a hole for the tarp or something? Like,
I didn't even think about that, but maybe
there might be rules that are like, you cannot hide anything.
They don't know when the raid is going to be. And so maybe they could do that, which would be, I think that's more fun. That's kind of a little bit of a scavenger hunt, hide and go seek type thing. Be like, you want it? Find it.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And you're right, that would be her having to tell them the truth there. So unless they can't. I don't know, I want to know the rules. Sean, help us.
Yeah. Are you aware of the rules? So we also see sort of back to Teresa being in the middle of something, and she says like the most important move in the game. So, I'm already concerned that she's like fighting against the powerful trio. So how is that going to come together for her?
Teresa, what is she going to do?
Yeah. What are you doing? I want you to do well, Missy, but
Anesu is so good with connecting with people. I could see Anesu just being like, Teresa, we'll take care of you. We'll be good to you. We'll work as a team. And that would be 4 people on a tribe of 9. with an idol play, like, you know what I mean? Like, they starting to get a little bit of power there. So I could see Teresa being a very powerful player with the Anesu, Tyson, Kieran trio. With that idol, that could shake things up big time.
Now, Jack, are you under the impression that there is an idol in the same place at both camps, at the other camp? I don't know that that's true.
Well, where was Santoni searching? Because like she was like clawing at like the side thing, and it was similar to where Tyson was clawing, but on the opposite side. So had she just not found it? Was she feigning looking for something?
No, I think she just hadn't.
Hold on, I'm confused. I'm confused myself. Don't worry.
Well, so when Santoni was first looking for it, I think she didn't take a lot of time. She thought she'd go back later. Then when Tyson gets the information, he goes and he finds it. But I don't know that there's one at the other camp in the same place. Like, that's not the information we have. And if it were, Santoni would have already grabbed it, right? She's now at that camp. So there wouldn't even be a moment for Tyson to look for another idol because Santoni would have already looked for it there, right?
Well, maybe she hasn't.
I mean, chat's telling me that's how it normally is.
Well, I really thought that there was going to be one at each camp. Like, that was my initial thought, that
in the same place.
In the same place, whatever, 3 steps forward from the well, or whatever it said. I was assuming that it was going to be mirrored or like at the same spot on both tribes. But it is a little bit different. I don't know, because they also had the clue, like an idol at the tribal council. So I don't know if they have this many idols kind of all around, but if somebody from the other tribe had won that advantage, it would have the same clue most likely, and it would have been hidden. So unless they're hiding it, depending on who found it or who was going on to Immunity Island, right, I would have assumed that it is just an unclued idol that's hidden.
Well, if that's the case, then absolutely tell Paul to tell Tyson, go get that one, because I'm about to get this one at the new camp because I know where that is. So then, yeah, I don't question that whole situation as much if that's how this is working. That's new information. I don't know. I just kind of assumed with Immunity Island, it was like very specific where the idols were. But great. Good to know. That means next episode, I better see Santoni and Chappie's digging up a gosh darn idol then.
Just at least being like, hey, we should check here because
why didn't we see that? Yeah. Why didn't we already see this?
Or, I mean, Chappie's is a little bit slick. We did
see Chappie's date. Remember, Amy walks up on him and she's like, are you looking for an idol? And he's like, yeah, I am. Let me cover it back up while we talk. So maybe he was already doing it. He just hasn't found it yet. Okay.
And if he were to find it, would he or would he not tell Santoni is the question.
That is a good question. I mean, he should. I don't think he would. I don't know that he would. I don't know that he would. Okay, well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us live. We always love your insight and especially keeping me on track. Like,
we did pretty well. I mean, with this, I still need to figure it out, but we're better. We're good.
Oh, that's a good comment. She was grateful, and then she might be flipping. And hey, yeah, here for it. Absolutely. Yes, thank you for the reminder. If you guys would be so kind to leave a like here, it helps the channel, helps the algorithm. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Please do so. Yes, very excited for 41 coming up in the fall. Getting some spoilers out there right now. And also, I'm very excited for Survivor Australia, which we should get before the fall, I think. I don't know, but looking forward to it. Right they haven't announced that date yet. Very excited about that. So you guys, if you're watching us later, please leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the new tribes, the mix-up, how you
If we
felt
think
about
that there's going to
Mike?
be an idol at the other camp as well.
Yes,
I want to know.
please fill us in on that, and give us all your comments.
Thanks, Adrian. It definitely was it was a fun, and like I could have probably talked for hours and hours, but it was definitely a great little snippet of some of our voices on our hub. So I love doing it, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it too.
That's great. That's awesome. You guys, thank you again. We will see you next week, next Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific. Bye.